to Oh Brother, a podcast of three brothers trying to figure it all out, with your hosts Brandon, Collin, and Aaron. On this week's show, you mean Van Gone? Hello.
Hello. You playing though? Just keep cursing to a minimum.
What?
It's a joke.
We don't curse on this podcast.
Exactly. I wasn't talking to you.
Oh.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello. What an open. How's it going?
And go.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Apparently,
What's up?
Apparently, my downstairs clocks on my kitchen devices are slow. So,
Oh.
yes.
Oh.
Turns
How
out-
exciting.
yes.
What a fun thing you learned today.
By about 2.5 minutes.
That's all right.
Woohoo. So, that are exciting stuff.
Well, yeah, same. I don't really have any exciting stuff happening because, sitting at home.
Sitting at home. Yeah. Well, so this week was my first week doing that. Not staying home. I had to work. So I was still working from home. I went in for half a day in the morning on Thursday. And it was kind of weird being back in. Nobody else was in there except the administrative assistant up at front. And I was like, hey, long time no see. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting. It was good though. I enjoyed it being home and working and whatever. So
Yeah.
it's fun.
I didn't do too much working from home this week because we sent last week, I think I said, we went in on a day and made physical packages and stuff to send to kids.
Yeah.
Right. So I didn't really do any online stuff this week because I had things, but I'm getting some stuff ready to send out, to share out next week. Like, oh, hey, here's this. Hey, here's this, that kind of thing.
So how does the recent announcements about the closure for the rest of the year affect you guys, or were you already doing that?
Well, we weren't closed for the year yet. We were going to be closed till the end of April, basically, is what the school had decided on. And so now, I guess we're just going to keep doing this until the school year, quote, is over, right? Continue with online stuff.
Yeah.
Until, X day, whenever the school year would have been over anyway, I guess.
Have you gotten any guidance about summer school?
Nope.
No. Okay.
And I didn't. That's one of the questions that well, first of all, that is a question mark because we don't know. Because good old Mikey made this announcement after all the administration had gone home on Thursday, right? So they basically had to go back to school and get stuff to put out on the student portal, the phone call system, the social media stuff to be like, what?
Jeez.
Because, fun fact, that all the beginning part of that week, Desi and Misha, listeners, Desi and Misha. Desi is the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and Misha, I don't know what Misha actually stands for, but it's the Missouri athletic / extracurricular activity body, right? They're the ones that make the rules for all the stuff that you do. Basically, all week they were talking about their plans for what happens when we come back to school for the truncated school year. Right? So as early as Thursday morning, Misha had tweeted a bunch of stuff about their plans for things like sports, things like state FBLA or choir, like what their contingency was for that stuff. And then at the 3:00 press conference thing, good old Governor Parsons made the announcement. So really cool that nobody in the government of Missouri is speaking to each other at all. That's really handy. I really love that part of this, that they can't pull their head out of their own pockets here and figure out what in the world's going on. They're not discussing anything with each other at all, apparently. Nobody has any idea what's happening, let alone any government leaders. They're just making it up as they go along with no plans whatsoever. All the while, Mike Parsons is accusing everybody of like talking trash about like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then like talking about elections. Like, what? We're doing other more important things right now. Can you stop? Can you just not do that maybe? That would be great. You could maybe stop all that nonsense.
Well, see,
so yeah, to be determined what in the world all that stuff means, because nobody actually knows yet. I don't think.
Yeah. No, I think that last time we talked, they had come out and announced the 2-week. Did I tell you guys about that? That when they said no, we're going on a 2-week lockdown, stay at home order statewide, and
3 weeks.
Yeah, 3-week. Yeah, and they hadn't even announced that to like other state agencies or anything.
Yeah,
and it came out at 5, and
yeah,
and that day, and it was like,
their
what?
timing is actually the worst.
Well, see,
Right.
this is the way I think it is. So, if you have a 2 coordinated attack, the Rona will be able to counter you. So if you come at it with a scatter shot, no plan, mayhem, there's no strategy on the back end, right? And so you catch it off guard and you win the battle.
But what? So let me get this straight. You are saying that what Alexander the Great should have done is just thrown his chariots willy-nilly at the Persians, and that would have been a better key to victory than a strategic coordinated assault. Is that what you're saying here?
I'm saying all we know is that it wasn't as decisive as it could have been.
Aaron, back me up here.
No,
I think
no. See, there were some things in that battle that if maybe if you again, just the mayhem approach just catches you off guard, catches your opponent off guard, and allows you to just like a crazed person running through the streets with a My Little Pony tutu on. Who's gonna fight that?
That's not how this works.
So this is good old Mikey's approach. My Little Pony tutu to the Ronas.
Yeah. No.
I don't know. Or not.
Can we, again, I know I said this a couple weeks ago, but we need to stop playing our little games, our little pretend games about all the nonsense, and maybe do something. That might be nice. Try that. My goal.
Then we could be held accountable if we actually do something.
Again, and if you think I'm only directing this at the governor, no. This is I'm speaking to the entire governing system of Missouri, not just one individual.
Right.
Okay, I need that to be clear. At least people think that I'm like dogging down on like one person on the figurehead. No. This is a message for everybody. Damn it.
Oh. Well, Brandon's playing Schools Out for the Summer in the background. So, Aaron, what are you up to?
Well,
I'm bummed, man. I like my kids, man. I don't want to be home.
Oh, I know. I know.
You guys are talking about Missouri. So the state of Oklahoma, kind of what Brandon was talking to, that no one's really talking with each other in any of our departments, because I got like 5 emails in 2 days, like, hey, we're gonna have a meeting oh, hey, JK, we're not going to have a meeting. This was discussed. Oh, hey, that same meeting we were going to have that we didn't have, we're going to end up having again about this one thing. And then like, oh, hey, JK, we're not having that meeting entirely. To them being notified Thursday afternoon or Friday saying, oh, hey, we're actually going to do this. I was like, this has been in the works for 2 weeks and no one's been really talking to anybody. So cool. That's helpful. Found out that the state for DHS wise is, we still have to do investigations. We still have to, ensure child safety. So they came up with what's called a SWAT system where to limit the interaction between people, they're only having like a certain number of people go out and do investigations and then have them, just give them the notes or give other people the notes and just do the typing. And so that's the original thought process of, hey, let's just have like 1 or 2 or 3 really good workers just go
do the field work portion.
And then have like the notes up. And so that was the initial plan. However, what that plan is kind of like evolved into was they're going to have a worker go out and they're basically going to put you on speakerphone so you can listen to it and you're the one that types it up.
Like live.
Yeah, basically, sort of.
Oh.
Or at least take notes on it. And I was like,
yeah.
So they can ask you questions or you can ask them questions while you're there. And I'm like, that just sounds...
I mean, that's a little convoluted.
Yeah, that's a little bit. So and we're going to get more details as of Monday, but they told us that we're going to be doing this. And then I had an investigation Friday. Like, couldn't just wait like 2 more days, but that's cool. Because I didn't originally sign up for it. So for all of Osage County, which is the largest county in Oklahoma, and then all of Pawnee County, we were only going to have 3 field workers. And then just everyone else just basically stays at home and does the typing, essentially, which is fine. I don't mind doing that. I just kind of hated, getting that call of like, oh, hey, you have to drive to Ponca City, which for me is like 2 hours away or something. It's like, oh, come on. Really? And so I was kind of dreading that. So they kind of made it a little bit easier to kind of make it to where only like a few people do stuff like that.
It is more streamlined, right?
Yeah. But at the same time, it's very kind of dumb with like just only having like 3 people go out and just having like, hey, we're going to put you on speakerphone real quick. Why don't you just listen to the conversation? It's like, well, that seems a little bit as an unnecessary step, but
yeah, I feel like just getting the notes would probably be better.
Yeah, and I kind of think that's kind of what some of the other workers were stating, like, hey, I'm just gonna like take a picture of the notes and just send them to you. And I was like, yeah, that's fine, I can do that. So that way I don't have to sit there and listen to some other person.
Well, and like not here.
Yeah, and be
right?
like,
I just did a phone meeting Friday, right? And that was like a conference call about like an IEP meeting over the phone, basically.
Yeah.
And it was kind of hard to be like, what? I can't, what? I can't hear you. Because, some people are not talking right. It's just a mess.
Yeah.
So I can't.
But I mean, other than that, that's all I've been having to really deal with. I mean, I've mostly just been typing. I have my little routine where I sit on my couch and get one case at a time and just type and just kind of let things roll. I haven't really been to the office except for like once or twice, but I have to have special permission to be able just to go into the office.
Yeah, so do we. Yeah. We have to ask the building principal or just like let them know, hey, I'm coming in here for just a minute. They don't want you hanging out, right? But like come in if you got to get some paperwork or get some materials or whatever sorted out.
So I think that it's also be a little bit more stress reducing to be like, am I going to get a case today? What is that going to look like? Do I just drive my own car? And so now actually having to know, but still like for those 2 counties connected, we have 3 field workers, which is like not really a lot, but these three are probably like one of the best in the state. So I'm like, it kind of bounces out. But still, there are three for the entire Osage and Pawnee counties, which are massive. So
well, that's true. I mean, they're massive square mileage wise.
yeah, but
like
population
density, not so much. So that helps out. I think that's the reason why there's not as many.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I did look at a map of Oklahoma the other day because I needed some reference points to these words that you keep saying at me. And so I did notice, like, oh my gosh, that is a huge area.
Yeah.
Like, wow. I knew that some of the counties in Oklahoma were enormous. Right. But I looked at some of those ones. I was like, wow.
So whenever
why is it so big?
So whenever the Osage Nation, the tribe, came down from Kansas, they bought like a huge, like they talked to the Cherokees, who basically owned like almost all of Oklahoma at that time, and they're like, "Hey, are you guys using this?" And they're like, "No." So they basically just bought that huge chunk of land for super cheap, and they're like, "Well, this is ours now." And people were just like, "Okay," and they just not like it hasn't changed since, the Osage Nation has basically moved in since the 18 something.
Yeah.
And so Osage County is, square mileage wise, the largest, but we're also some of like the most ruralist populations. And and that was kind of one of the main things that I had difficulty understanding going through training, is that all these trainers came from like the big cities, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, like the bigger density things. I'm like, you guys not realize I just have like
that's it. That's the two in Oklahoma.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Stillwater on homecoming becomes the third largest city in Oklahoma, by the way.
Well, that's fair.
But they just had, some. It's like I get, like, I don't deal with as many. Well, I deal with a lot of people, but some of these towns, I don't have a gas station. You kind of have to, you don't want to awkwardly ask these people to use the restroom, so you kind of have to.
True.
Yeah. So, but and by the way, for the record, I remember kind of one of our first podcasts, we talked about, the really beautiful scenery. There are in fact waterfalls in.
You found one.
Yes. So
hey,
Shelby and myself took a trip to Osage Hills today, which is a state park, and there is some waterfalls there at Lake Lookout and through whatever river that is. But yes, there are some waterfall formations. Not like
Shelby found them. Good job,
Shelby.
Yes.
Way to go,
Shelby. They say good job. Through the, they're not like the grandeur, like, oh, this is a 20-foot. They're like,
well, still
a 5 foot to less, but there are waterfalls. So
it's water falling. Nailed it.
So there are some waterfall sightings.
All right.
And one great philosopher once said, "Don't go chasing waterfalls."
Yes, I believe there was 3 great philosophers that said that.
Yeah, something like that. Something
in
about
harmony.
The rivers and the streams. It's.
You have to stick to the rivers and lakes that you're used to.
Yes. So Aristotle, those great people. So I listen to that and just really take that to heart.
Good advice.
Yes.
Sage advice for the ages.
Sage for the
You're welcome. But that's kind of really about it. Thankfully, I've only had to go on one real quote unquote far investigation, but that was still literally like an hour away just to get there. And so it's mostly just the driving that kind of is. Do I have to leave my own place today? And
that's pretty crazy. For reference, anybody listening to this, if I drive an hour from my house, I can get across 3 counties in Missouri. So that's where that's the kind of space we're dealing with here.
Yeah. So all in Osage County, there is the Frank Phillips Woolarock Live History Museum, which is several hundred acres. We also have the U.S. government wild horse sanctuary and ranch out there. You also have the Pioneer Woman ranch, which is also several hundred acres.
Oh, is
the
that
Drummond
there?
Ranch. That's right. That's
Okay.
also several hundred to 1,000. You also just have, other things. You have the Osage territory, which is thousands of acres. It's a huge chunk, and
Yeah.
pretty much just to get across it, at one tail end you have Ponca City, but like right on the outskirts you have Bartlesville. So if you need to look at a map, that's like the best kind of distance from the Kansas border all the way down to Tulsa, basically. That's kind of the space that we're talking about here. And I work there.
Yay! Now with Waterfalls.
With
so
Waterfalls.
now
if
including
you're
Waterfalls.
If you're bored of quarantine and you want a destination to vacation for a day trip, Osage
Google
County.
Map Osage County.
Osage County.
Scroll around, see if you can find the waterfall.
They're there.
Oh my gosh. You say it's okay to get outside, but the number of people that I have seen like shaming others for even deigning to walk outside or walk around the park has been immense where we live.
Really?
It is so bad. There's one lady who lives right next to the park. Like it's like her doorstep, road, and then the pond where everybody goes fishing at. And she's like posting, I can't believe all these people out there are fishing and walking outside. Don't they know it's a stay-at-home order? And you're like, yes, but I think
well, Missouri's stay-at-home order is not super.
No,
right?
It's not.
Again, it's a little vague, but like that's not. I can still go outside.
Yeah, that's what.
I mean, I don't, but
sure.
That's me. I walk the dog. Chuck's gotta go outside.
See,
but that's
yeah. Like
it's just like to the front yard on the road a little bit.
I keep waiting for us to be on the Facebook or Nextdoor post of family seen walking outside with young children during a pandemic.
You go, hoodlums.
Like, sweet. Yep.
Hey, that's it.
Well,
we're
winning. Look, it's me.
We went to Walmart earlier today, and they had limited, like they had lines on both entrances, and they had spaces separated 5 or 6 feet apart, and they were counting and limiting. It's kind of like a fancy nightclub or something. They're like, all right, I got 2 people on this side, or we got room capacity. Yeah. All right, 2 more in.
Okay, so that means it's similar to Missouri. Missouri did the same thing. I get Walmart's everywhere doing this now, but it's like it's based on the percent of occupancy. Your building's maximum occupancy.
Yeah, so they had a maximum limit of like 257.
I don't know whatever.
Well, that was the thing on the sign of so like we're only allowing X amount in.
Yeah,
and so. But yeah, we sat out. We stood in line for a little bit to get some stuff, and there was a guy with a little clipboard or a little iPad thingy, and he had his little walkie-talkie, and he's like, "All right, I got 3 people left on this side. 3 more people get to go in." I'm like, "Oh, cool, okay."
Pretty cool.
And so
we just been doing the grocery pickup.
Yeah.
Thing. Again, I was incorrect because I thought, hey, this would be a great opportunity for you to expand your grocery pickup market to let less people inside the store, limit contact with staff, all that stuff, because basically you don't have to do anything, right? You could modify the coming in contact with them because you got to put your little number in the little thing they give you, but you could make that further apart too. No, they have not done that. I thought maybe they would do that, but no.
Why would they do that?
I don't know. Because it makes sense.
Because I was kind of thinking, it's like, well, they could kind of do a system where they have people that come to, you either order online or you call in, since there's a lot of elderly people that don't have probably the best access to the interwebs.
internet.
But there's also, with a lot of that pickup, with as busy as some of these places are, they only have registered days, and they're like, all right, hey, you can only on this day, these certain people, like, they have schedules online that if they get filled up, and it's like, well, you can't pick up
Well, no, yeah,
groceries.
Walmart, you have to schedule your pickup window, right? I'm going to be here at X time to come in and do that. But I thought that maybe they would put more like manpower on
beef it up.
that part.
Yeah, okay.
Like, so they would have more people responsible for picking up, like just doing the going and picking the groceries and then delivering them to the cars.
Yeah.
Instead of just keeping the same 3 people and not changing it at all.
Yeah, okay.
Cool, I guess. That's a thing you could do.
I mean, I did see a lot more employees there, and there was a lot of the, online, or the pickup stuff, but there's a lot of people that are kind of doing directional and stocking and just keeping things like that. But
yeah,
I mean, we saw a pretty good amount, but again, like, there was only maybe less than 200 people in the store when we were there, so
yeah.
So I mean, we saw a lot of people wearing masks. We saw a lot of people not wearing masks. We were able to keep our distance from people. I mean, I don't like people in general, so it's kind of easier for me.
True.
But it's still very kind of, because you don't think that, like, countries that have been dealing with things either for much longer, or kind of scenarios where this is a common thing, you don't really think about that aspect. Is like, oh well, this is actually kind of like a normal thing, but for us it's like, oh, this is weird. So it was kind of that it was a very fascinating thing to kind of witness, to be like, oh, this is something I never expected. Okay. So it's unique, but at the same time, it is kind of that hint of terrifying of, well, is this kind of how it's going to be for a long time? Is this going to change, or what?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what really hit us. So we tried the pickup at the Walmart, and what really hit me is we were sitting there waiting for to come to our car, which is a whole nother debacle. But just watching the number of people go in with the masks and the gloves, like, it just psychologically that flipped a switch of, like, because before I hadn't seen that many people, of like everybody was doing it, but just sitting there in your car and just watch people getting in and out with face masks and gloves, and just have spread apart everyone was. All of a sudden I was like, ooh, like, this is okay, this is different. Like, something, like, it really was a change and a switch for me, at least, to see that.
There was a moment today when we were at Osage Hills where this dad got out of the car with his son, and his son had a mask on, but his son looked to be like 10 or 11. And that's kind of when I was like, oh, this is something. Like, granted, that same kind of mentality of rural-ish Oklahoma, it ain't gonna happen out here. But it's like, we had a reported case, and I think someone was reported that actually passed away in Washington County from it. And so that's a very another thing.
Really?
It's like, oh well, it's actually more at home than I realized. So I think just seeing that today, of just a young kid wearing this mask, it's like, oh, this is actually a thing.
Yeah.
That kind of hit more at home to me than I anticipated.
Yeah, we had our second reported case this last week.
Yeah.
I think. I don't. The days are hard to keep straight again with no actual schedule of my life, but I think it was either the very beginning of this week or the very end of last week. I want to say it was the beginning of this week, or on Tuesday, perhaps. I think we had our second case, and this person apparently went literally everywhere in all of Berry County because
Oh no.
the health department thing was like they went here. Like, what? You went to every store in America. What in the world are you doing? So I don't really know what was going on there, but they are watching them and they've contacted everybody and all that stuff. So we'll see what happens because of that person is an idiot and decided to live the meme and go world traveling around Berry County.
Because I mean, you can federally, you can actually get in trouble for that, right? Is that a thing?
Yes. Yes. So we'll see how that goes. I haven't heard anything else. I haven't heard any follow up or anything. So
okay.
See.
Interesting.
Again, I only check the news every couple days.
Yeah.
Just for my sanity, right? Like because people are ridiculous and I can't even deal. So we just stay inside and do nothing. Watch weird things on TV and
yeah, I still watch my YouTube videos, or I've been watching a lot of Vice videos. I don't know exactly if that's necessarily a good thing, but I watched
a couple of those too, actually.
I watched some videos recently of like Snake Island, and then this guy went.
I saw that one. I didn't watch it. That was recommended.
Caribou hunting in Alaska with one of the Native American tribes up there, and I was like, oh, and so that's what what we've kind of been.
I watched a couple of those the Dark Side of the Ring documentaries that they do. Holy cow.
What is that?
So it's like it's about wrestling stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like a dark it's like these really weird stuff. One of them was the Chris Benoit story. That's the first one I watched. If you're not familiar with Chris Benoit, he was a very prominent wrestler in the 90s and the early 2000s. He ended up committing double murder suicide with his wife and his young son. Turns out he was suffering like severe brain trauma, like CTE, from all his years of wrestling and stuff. And he had kind of had a breakdown.
Oh, no.
And that, so it's like the saddest thing in the world. Basically, they don't talk about him anymore, which is also kind of sad because you would think that they would want to address that issue, but they also are distancing themselves from that. But that's the whole thing. But that means they also distance themselves from the surviving family members, which is bad. Yeah, so I watched that one. I watched a couple of other ones. One of them was like about just like a dumb thing they did and how bad it turned out. So it wasn't nearly as bad as that. That's the most serious one I watched.
Yeah, because I was just the one I watched with this guy was caribou hunting, in Alaska with, I can't remember what the tribe's name is, but he's like, all these people that live in the farthest reaches of Alaska, that has been their way of life for thousands of years, and this like really nerdy person was like, hey, I'm the one that's going to be doing this and never actually really been outside before, so here I am. It's like this. So fascinating.
This is gonna go well.
Yeah,
it's gonna go something.
But it was neat. So we've watched that. We're continuing with our Star Wars marathon.
Oh, nice.
Lots of gaming, lots of reading, that kind of stuff. So that's we try to go on a walk at least every night. There's some parks that are around here which are kind of not necessarily isolated, even though they're kind of in the smack dab middle of town, but not that many people go there, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
But we usually get to at least go out, and because if I'm spending all day typing, I'm just like, I need to see the sun. Like a human interaction. Oh wait, I don't like humans. Away.
Never mind.
What if I see a person? There's one. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
Oh, wow, there's other humans. Okay, I'm done.
Hey. You've made it this far into the show, so congratulations. I wanted to break in here and let you know that if you like the show or you enjoy it at any point in time, welcome to the club. we would really appreciate it if you could check us out on Twitter or Instagram. We are at Oh Brother Podcast in both of those places. But after you are done with that, go and rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. That really helps us out, and we couldn't appreciate it more. So I guess we'll finish with this music break and jump back in.
Okay, that's it. I don't want to.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I finished that Carnival Row show.
Yeah.
Finally on Amazon. Dang. Okay.
That's good.
Okay. You got me. Fine. Got me. That's pretty good. Takes a big swerve there. And then the ending of the season's like, okay. Definitely more of this.
It was good.
Because it definitely like finally pay off some of this. Because again, they had that problem of every once in a while they cut to some other people and you're like, I don't care about you. What are you doing? But they like had to slowly build it up over the 8 episodes. And then I started watching that new Tales from the Loop or whatever. That show is so stinking depressing that I was like, yeah, okay, well, no, I'm gonna I'll watch this in small doses. So it's like it's this weird setting of like it's supposed to be like small town Ohio, right? But if small town Ohio was built on top of some sort of like science fiction version of CERN.
Oh, and the Hadron Collider.
Right. So the loop is like some sort of Hadron Collider underground, but there's also like other weird things down there. And it's like kind of nobody really, they don't, it's like underground science activity. That's all you get from the first couple episodes, right? Sure. Is it's down there. And there's a clear division of people that work down there and everyone else, kind of, right? Societally. Because there's like, oh, you're either smart enough to get into science and go down to the loop, or you're going to, work at the quarry or the gas station, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's unconventional in that it doesn't necessarily follow a person, kind of like the town is the character. So the first 2 episodes are about different people, like all together, right? So like they're related, kind of. In the first one's kind of like about the mom, and then the second one is about like the son and his friend, right? Following them. So it's kind of weird. It's gorgeous, and right, but like it's just the second episode was such a downer. I was like, ugh. I can't handle any more of this right now. Luckily, on Wednesday and Thursday on television, was it on USA or whatever, the network, right? Mm-hmm. They did like a marathon of the first 2 seasons of Psych.
Hey,
oh, that's such a funny show.
And I watched the heck out of that because I loved that show when it was on. So it should make you feel better. That was their thing. They did like a live kind of watch along with the 2 main guys from their houses. They were like Skyping, right? And like talking about stuff. So it was kind of cool. But that show is hilarious.
I do like that.
There too. So they're going to do that again this week someday. So I'm going to watch some more of that because, man, that show's awesome. And Shayna had never seen it. So we made her watch that and she liked it. So that's good because that show is hilarious. I needed something funny after all these downtrodden things I was watching. I was like, oh, I gotta find something to watch that's upbeat and not depressing.
Yeah, I'm sure many of those shows of like doom and gloom and global problems or just like those probably aren't getting too many hits these days.
Yeah, like oh dang it, that's not what anybody wants to watch.
And we just released our multi-million-dollar blockbuster about a global pan. No crap.
I mean, the remake of Resident Evil 3 just came out, so that's not good timing.
Right.
Whoopsie.
Nobody really wants to play that with the news that's going on.
Yeah.
Right now.
Like, oh, a global virus is spreading super fast through Raccoon City. And they, wait.
Just turn this off.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Back to the drawing board, boys.
Oh, the other news that I wanted to mention. This actually happened last week, and I forgot to bring it up. Did you read about the Van Gogh painting that got stolen in Amsterdam?
Yes. Oh my
God. What the
heck? That was amazing.
All right.
Yes.
So like they stole somebody again. They stole a Van Gogh. I can't remember what it's called. It's like the Walk at the Parsonage or something. I don't remember. It's like this huge 2-foot long Van Gogh painting.
Yeah, Parsonage Garden. Yeah.
Parsonage Garden. There we go. I knew Parsonage was in there. They stole it. Somebody stole it from the museum last week because the country's on lockdown and no one was in the museum. And somehow they broke in and stole this thing. So I
talk about opportunistic. That was amazing.
So, first of all, I just want to like art theft is a thing that to me is just very odd in general, right? Because somehow it's taken on this like mystique of like crime, right? Like it's just such a weird thing to steal and be obsessed with is like art theft. Because there's all these stories about just like really bizarre, unsolved art thefts that are crazy, right? And one of them from last year, actually, there was some more paintings that were stolen from me. I don't remember where this museum was. They had stolen them several years ago, and they actually found them in some random side room, like of the museum. Like they had been stolen and then like taken out and then like put in this like weird like shed thing that's like outside or something weird like that, like hidden like at the museum. It was very bizarre. So like just art theft in general, it's just so weird.
Well, and part of it too is so you steal this Van Gogh painting. It's pretty I don't know, a lot of people are going to notice.
Yeah.
What do you do with that?
Well, that was my next. Yeah, that's the other thing that's kind of just the fascinating element of this is like, what do you do with it? Like, what? How do you, like, if you're a person that's stolen an art painting, or a very small number of these are actually stolen on commission, right? There is a small number of paintings that are like somebody pays you, hey, I need you to steal this for me, right? That's not very common. The rest of the other one though is like, oh, somebody steal it, they sell it on the black market, and then somebody buys it. That whole chain of events is very mind-boggling. Like, how does that? How? Like, you're right. Like, you steal it, you've got to sell it somewhere, and then the person that buys it, what the heck do you do with it? Like, you can't like show people, right? Like,
yeah,
you can't be like, oh yeah, here's my I mean, my print,
yeah,
right? Like, what do you do?
Yeah. So this thing. Oh yeah, this is just a picture, photo. It's fake. Of course it is. Do you want to buy it? I mean, if you want to buy it, you have a couple million, right?
It's like, so weird.
I don't know how you have that conversation.
It's so odd.
Yeah.
Like I'm even sure there's. I mean, people that are stealing art probably know more about how to sell it than I do. Obviously,
sure.
Like, I was reading a thing earlier today that they're pretty sure that painting is actually still in the Netherlands because the whole country's locked down, so it can't like leave yet.
Yeah,
so
they were like, aha, and now we'll get oh no, everything is shut down.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Well, I mean, they're probably not afraid to sit on it for a long time, but like,
sure. But again, if you are going to be gutsy enough to to go up and steal a multi-million-dollar painting.
And a huge painting. Like, this is a 2-foot painting. Not like some of those little sketches that get stolen sometimes.
Right.
Like
it's long.
teeny tiny.
Yeah. I'm assuming that I'm going to hope that you have at least a couple plans in place. Like, you don't just stop at plan A of like, we smash and grab and we run. It's like, okay, but what then?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that also has happened. But I mean, there's that famous one. What was it in Boston where they just like came in the morning and there's like 7 paintings gone? Like, what? Like, there's just this whole history of like really bizarre, unsolved art thefts, right? And it's just a really weird thing. And I don't know, like, I was also reading that one of the guys was like, the investigator guys was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that a lot of these things that we don't know where they are actually in Russia somewhere, right? Like these big Russian, billionaire businessmen have them in a house.
Oh, sure.
Somewhere. But they're just like, yeah, no, not, like really flippant about the whole thing. Like, oh, yeah, well, you can't do anything about it because I'm a Russian billionaire.
Yeah, I'm an oligarch. What are you going to do?
Yeah, right. Like,
sure,
but it's still like, that's the other thing. Like, some of them, it sounded like he knows exactly where they are. They just can't do anything about it.
I'm going to say that for the kind of people who maybe commission these to be stolen or buy them, like that, like, they're probably not very tight-lipped about these kind of things, and it's going to get out, right? Like, that world, I'm sure, is very small as far as not just who would be able to pull a job like that, but also who would be willing to buy something like that. Like, I'm sure those are written down on a very small notepad in someone's office.
Yes. Because that's been the plot of several books that I've read over the years, right? Like weird, like spy thrillers, like the art theft is shown up in there every once in a while. And it's always just like under really weird, these are very odd people, right? Like, first of all, that like you would steal it. Like, I mean, I like paintings, right? I like, paintings as much as the next guy, I guess. But like, I don't really get what makes like a Monet worth all the trouble and money to steal it, right? Like, these are things that, like, the thought process just kind of baffles me sometimes. Like, I mean, yeah, it's cool, I guess. Like, historically, I get the importance, right? There's these handful of artists that are like very important culturally and historically, right? But like, stealing? Like, I don't know. That's also, this is a Van Gogh painting, the one that was just stolen, that I've never heard of before. And I've seen lots of Van Gogh paintings. This was the one I've never heard of. It appears to be not in a style that you would necessarily just associate with Van Gogh, right? Like the post-impressionism world that he's famous for. This one looks very not that. So I don't know why you'd want that particular Van Gogh painting anyway.
So
who's going to miss it?
Would it be classified as a Van Gogh?
How do I mute you?
Susan would be so proud
right
now.
That's another big. So at the Woolaroc Museum, there's all of these like Western and cultural and historical items there, but they also have these like historical paintings, and there's just some of them that are just insanely massive. Like there's murals, and then there's just like these gigantic paintings that someone just like commissioned and drew, and it's just like, why would you want something that big? And then I was sitting there thinking, because watching Ocean's 11 so many times, I was like, I don't steal that. And I was just like, that is so huge, and I wouldn't know what that would be worth. Like I have no taste or no kind of style for something like that.
Yeah.
Just be like,
I mean, they probably researched, like,
of some sort.
Just Google it. Google
Well,
it.
they did say that this one that was stolen, the Parsage one, has never been appraised. So they don't really know what the value would be. They just kind of had to estimate it on other works by Van Gogh that have actually sold at auction. Right. But again, this one is very not, I mean, I didn't look at it super closely, but it does not appear to me to just jump out and say, oh, this is a Van Gogh style, like post-impressionism painting. And it's also huge. And apparently it's not on canvas. It's like attached to a board. So you can't like you're talking about the size is kind of important because it's like a huge board. So like a lot of times you're right. A lot of the ones that do get stolen are smaller, right? A lot of the they're like sketches by Picasso have been stolen because they're little, or other canvas works have been stolen that are kind of small. Like you don't often get these massive paintings that get stolen. You know, that kind of keeps them a little safer. Like Rembrandt has some paintings that are enormous, like like that night watch or night guard or whatever. That thing is humongous. Probably not getting stolen anytime soon, but who knows? But yeah, that's another thing. Like, how do you do? You know, you kind of got to go for the small thing. Like, and weirdly, even though this is like a crime that's been happening for hundreds of years, it seems like museum security notoriously not great, right? Like, I've read a lot of stuff the last couple weeks about museum security that's just awful. Like, people just walked out of with stuff like in the middle of the day, just gone. They just walk in and they take it because the security is just so bad.
Wow.
It's very, very weird.
Well, there you go. Maybe, you know, if something doesn't pan out, maybe that's the next.
We're not advocating art theft. We're not doing that. Speaking of outdated security.
Yep.
Also, I was reading that a lot of states are having trouble in the current global climate, like processing things, because their computer systems are actually running on.
No, I don't want to know this. Nope.
They're running on code that was written like in the early 80s.
No, I did want to know that.
Right. They're all apparently your state most likely has their computers functioning on a language that is not taught anymore, even. Right? It's all in like COBOL.
I don't know what that is, but that just sounds terrible.
It's like it's like computer business oriented language, I think is what it stands for. But it's like it's a super old programming language that was actually developed in the late 50s.
Yeah.
And they stopped teaching it in business school in like the early 80s because it was no longer useful. And apparently a lot of states program networks are actually written in that language. And so they're having problems because they need to either redo stuff in the system and they don't have anybody that knows how to code in that language because it's so old and not used anymore.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So that seems about right. Because like there's sometimes
why would you bother?
There's sometimes in training where we're talking about, because we have to use a certain kind of database for, you know, all of the archives and histories. And, you know, we ask people and they're like, oh, so when was this developed? And they're like, it was about the 90s when we came up with this. I'm like, and have you decided to change it? And they're like, no, because the person that coded it is retired and is like deceased. And so we don't know what to do. And I'm like,
yeah, but at least it's probably written in a programming language that's usable. not one that was developed in the late 50s when computers were the size of my apartment. And
yeah, no, sorry. I just found that article, and yeah, they're saying for all those mainframes, and basically the mainframe, just the underlying support structure of everything, over 64% of organizations that were polled said that the majority of their mission critical workloads were done in COBOL.
Yes.
Jeez.
Yes. They go.
So
I don't know why you have that on your mainframe infrastructure, and then you just pile all your other stuff on top of it.
Well, because it worked, right? It worked for their load. It worked. I'm sure they were like, "Oh, sure, we can scale this 2-3 times, but we'll never get there." And it scaled 100 times over the course of 4 days, and they were like, "Oh no, never mind." Oh my gosh, yeah! Back in 2017, here's from some reports. I'm just now reading this for the first time. There are over.
You're welcome.
There are almost 300 billion lines of code used in 43% of banking systems.
Yes.
95% of ATMs.
Yes.
With a 60-year-old technology. Oh
yes.
No.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So all that banking software. So just I don't know why. Like, I don't understand. Like, I live in a town that has like a gigantic banking software firm in it. Right. I want to ask somebody that works there. Is this what you guys use?
Get them on the show.
Why you do this? One of my neighbors works. I don't know. I have a bunch of random neighbors there. Like, what do you write that? One of Susan's friends works there, actually. I should ask. Hey, talk to somebody in your code department. Is this what you're using? Like, what the heck? What? I mean, you would think they might have to, because if they're sending it out to these banks and that's what their mainframes are using, like what?
Well, it's kind of like, I don't know. Like at some point, you go, yeah. What is the cost to upgrade this or to transition to to untangle this web that we've put together and make it into something new and modern that we can still scale and be flexible? Like, what is that cost in both downtime for the company and in just financial dollars versus it still works, so let's just keep going?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I would not want to be in charge of that decision, or that person, the IT department right now going,
yeah,
oh no,
right? Like, oh no. There's a few years ago, I was reading that several like military installations in the United States run their code off of 5-inch floppy disks.
Oh yeah. The most a lot of the,
and it's like the nuclear missile programs.
Yes, 100%. I was actually just getting ready to bring that up. Of that, they didn't want to touch it for so long, and because now how do you develop that kind of software?
Yeah,
in an age of internet connectivity and everything, like
it's true.
How would you even go about doing that?
Yeah. So on the one hand, it's weird to think about. It kind of is like, George R. R. Martin's computer, right? He works on that old IBM.
So no
that's
one
not connected. That's not connected to the internet at all, right? Its system is all self-contained because it's so old, because he doesn't want anything happen to it. So like, it's kind of like that, right? Like, well, it's kind of working. We don't want it to be online because that would be bad, right? It needs to be like a self-contained system with no internet access. Please do not put nuclear silos on internet access computers. That'd be a terrible idea.
Well, even just in trying to develop that code without it leaking out or being stolen at this point of like just that would not be. Yeah. Floppies and nuclear missiles.
Here we go.
My goodness.
Good old 5-inch floppy disk.
Yeah. Well, I was going to bring up, when you're talking about art theft, an article that I had read recently. I don't know if you've heard of the King of Manuscripts. It's a French historical rare book collector. That what he would do is, this is very French. He would buy real documents at reasonable prices on auctions around the globe. Then he would have them have an insurance appraisal that he would pay off to have the price inflated. So he'd have this insurance policy for $1.2 million. He would then break that out into like 20 pieces and say, you can buy a portion of and own a portion of this book. And he would sell those off and for these really astronomical prices. And basically it became a giant Ponzi scheme.
I was gonna say, this sounds like a Ponzi scheme.
It was. Yeah, they nicknamed him the Madoff of France.
Oh no!
Yeah, because he built at one point in time, he owned over 5% of the. He himself owned over 5% of the globe's rare books and letters, and they were
What
like,
the heck?
yeah, they were like, Isaac Newton stuff or
oh my god,
John F. Kennedy stuff or Fidel Castro or all of this stuff, these manuscripts he would buy, artificially inflate the price, and then sell off portions of the insurance claims to them to people to further raise the price. And he just
it's definitely a Ponzi scheme.
yeah, no, it was really cool. But it was just like, could there be like, there are a few things more French than someone going, aha, I will use this using not stolen goods, bought and paid for with real money, but then to turn this lust and love for the rare and the old into a Ponzi scheme. Like, what?
That's so bizarre.
Yeah.
Very French.
Yeah. But some of the stuff that he was buying were really rare, and rare to the point of just obscure that nobody knew how to value. So one of the things that he had, and this is
That's
real,
the rare book market for you. There's some weird stuff out there.
This is real. He had a grocery shopping list penned by Beethoven from 1817.
There you go.
In his collection.
I just kind of want to know what's on Beethoven's shopping list.
I know. I didn't.
I want to know.
I want to know. But it's like, so you have that,
and you say
this is worth $3 million. Who's going to say no? That's never gone to market before.
Because it's only one of them, right?
Yeah. It's Beethoven.
I mean, historically, you would think a shopping list not super rare, or I mean, rare, not super valuable though, because like, again, this is all the how much things are worth, how much you're willing to pay for it, right? That's but like that doesn't seem like it would be worth a lot of money, whereas like all the handwritten copies of his symphonies would be, where the money's at, right? Like,
but what it would mean is that if you have some insurance people that are on your books, they may value it higher, but that's, that may just be, it may be confusing to people. They might not look into it too much.
That's true.
Allow you to go,
that's true.
Oh, And then if you do have some of those big ones, some big symphonies, you go, oh, well, this collection's pretty awesome. So, okay, that makes sense.
Because now it's a collection. That's true.
Yeah. So he was arrested, and he's,
I just want to know what's on Beethoven's shopping list.
Right.
I want to know what he's buying.
I don't know.
Did Beethoven, I mean, he probably buys those groceries, right? He probably was going shopping. I want to know what he bought. To look into this. This reminds me of my favorite rare manuscript. I know we all have one, but have you ever read about the Voynich manuscript?
Didn't we talk about this, Brandon? You and I?
Did we? Maybe you and I did. I don't know.
Yep.
It's come up before. I'm very fascinated by this thing. So it's possible that we have
because I think I even looked it up on Amazon. Of like the copy thing of it. Is that what I'm thinking of? Because I definitely have. Well, I actually ordered a copy, the English translation version, however, of the Prose Edda, the Icelandic Norse sagas. That was my, document that I've always been fascinated with or / want. So it's ordered on Amazon. It's on its way. But that word sounds familiar. Explain, Brendan. Hello.
Brandon,
no! Brandon left.
Aaron, that was what was that? The Norzetta?
Me?
Yeah, what was your book?
So mine was, it's what's called the Prose Edda. So it's kind of what we use as from my understanding, all of the understanding of Norse mythology, Norse stories. Um, so it was written originally in the original Nordic language because Iceland was pretty much just kind of left on its own for several hundreds of years, and so the prose Edda was written a few thousand years after kind of like the Vikings and things like that. So it's kind of like the only real recorded history of the Vikings, and so it has the sagas or the stories from the um from all of that stuff. So that's kind of the document that I have been fascinated with, and I found an English version of it because the only other copies are written in Nordic or in Icelandic, which is some of the closest uh language to ancient Norse.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
all. That's awesome. I've never heard of that.
yeah.
I'm adding it to our show notes.
Prose Edda. So yeah,
Yeah.
I have a copy from Amazon on its way. So I'm excited.
Yeah. I think we lost Brandon.
I think we lost Brandon.
Oh no.
No. Brandon, come back. So, do you want to keep talking, or do you want to just wait till Brandon comes back, or?
I think. Well, I mean, a little late.
Yeah.
Um.
Maybe we just pick up for next time.
Yeah. Hold on.
Holding on. Not going anywhere.
Yeah, he's saying it dropped.
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
I got that text. Well, that's what sometimes happened with you guys. Like sometimes, like I would just be sitting there and I would just hear like a pop, and like I would get nothing, and so either it kicked me out that few times or it kicked like everybody out because there are several times where I was like, oh man, I love listening, and then it'd just be absolutely nothing.